Hey everyone, and welcome to the Deep Dive. We're diving into something pretty vital in our digital world today, backup and recovery systems architecture. And you know what? You're not just listeners. Think of yourselves as students. We're going to be your instructors for this deep dive, and we're guiding you through this crash course on keeping your precious data safe.
That's right. We are going to break down this super complex subject into bite-sized pieces you can actually use. By the end, you'll be speaking the language of data protection like a pro, you'll understand those core operations, and maybe even be able to design your own backup solution.
Ooh, I love that. Going from, oh no, I lost everything, to, I got this, my data is secure. So we're not doing just a one-off deep dive today. We're taking you on a little journey, right? This is like
Yes.
the first class in a multi-part course.
Exactly.
Each episode will be like a new module.
Exactly. And we've structured it so that each episode builds on the last one. We start with the fundamentals, and then we get into the more advanced concepts as we go along. You'll learn about all the different backup types, how storage systems work, and even how to create your own backup and recovery plan from scratch.
Okay, this sounds way more engaging than just like reading a boring manual.
Yeah.
So to kick things off, let's walk through what this whole course will cover. What are the key modules here, and what will our student listeners be able to do with all this knowledge?
Excellent question. So our first module dives right into backup theory. We're going to demystify all those weird terms you hear, like full backups, incremental backups, and differential backups, showing you how they all work and when to use each one. You'll even learn about RTO and RPO, which might sound technical, but are honestly crucial for understanding how much data loss you can really tolerate and how quickly you need to recover if something happens.
Okay, so no more blank stares when somebody brings up RTOs and RPOs at a party. But, knowing the theory is only the first step.
Right.
So where do we go from there?
Module 2 tackles information storage concepts. We'll be exploring the different types of storage systems and how they impact backup and recovery. We'll cover RAID, which helps protect your data even if a hard drive totally fails. And we'll even dive into different storage media like hard drives, SSDs, and cloud storage. You'll learn the strengths and weaknesses of each so you can make informed decisions about where to store your own precious data.
And this is where it gets really interesting, right? We're talking about the actual hardware that houses our entire digital lives.
Right.
But before we get too deep into the storage part, let's talk about where all that data comes from. What's Module 3 all about?
Module 3 zooms right in on the backup client. Now, this could be your computer, your phone, a server, you name it, anything that actually generates data that you need to protect. We'll discuss how that data is selected and prepared for backup. Because it's not just a simple copy and paste, there's a whole process involved that we're going to unpack.
So we're learning about the starting point of the backup journey, the data itself. Then I'm guessing Module 4 takes us to the destination.
You got it. Module 4 is all about exploring storage node components. It's where that backed up data actually lives. We'll examine stuff like data deduplication, which saves you a ton of storage space and makes those backups run faster, as well as encryption, to keep your data safe from those prying eyes.
Okay, data deduplication, yeah. That's one of those terms that I've always heard but never fully grasped. It sounds like this module will finally shed some light on that. So we've covered theory, storage, the client, and the storage node. What's left? What's the final piece?
The final piece of the puzzle, that's Module 5, Backup and Recovery Planning. This is where we bring everything together and think strategically about how to protect your data. We'll think about things like business requirements, security needs, even pesky budget constraints and legal requirements to help you create this comprehensive data protection plan.
So this is where we graduate from understanding the individual pieces to actually strategizing about the whole system.
Right. Absolutely. We'll even have a hands-on exercise where you get to tackle a real-world backup problem and design a solution using everything you've learned. And as a bonus, we'll also be exploring the Dell EMC Data Protection Solutions portfolio, the actual tools and technologies that the pros use every single day to make these strategies a reality.
Whoa, that's like peeking behind the curtain of real-world data protection. And wait, there's even more. You mentioned something earlier about a deep dive into Dell EMC Avamar fundamentals.
You have a sharp memory. Yes, we'll have a bonus module focusing specifically on Dell EMC Avamar. It's a super powerful backup and recovery solution. Think of it as a deep dive into a specific tool that utilizes many of the concepts we'll be covering throughout the entire course.
Okay, so just to recap, we've got a comprehensive curriculum that covers literally the entire spectrum of backup and recovery, from theory to practice, and even a peek into those specific real-world solutions. But before we jump into Module 1 in our next episode, how can our student listeners interact with us and really get the most out of this course? What about those Telegram and WhatsApp groups you mentioned?
We're so glad you asked. Throughout this entire series, you can connect with us and all the other learners in our dedicated Telegram group. That's at Ask Kuzma and Jadel MC VMware. We also have a WhatsApp group specifically for data protection solutions. It's a great way to ask questions, share your insights, and get feedback on those homework assignments. Kind of learn from each other's experiences. Think of it as your own little backup and recovery study group.
I love that. Having a community to learn with makes such a huge difference. Now, I know we've thrown a ton of information at you already, but this is really just scratching the surface. Each module will delve deeper into these topics with quizzes, exercises, and maybe even some guest experts to spice things up a bit.
Exactly. But before we dive into all the details of backup theory in our next episode, I want to leave you with a question. Just think about all the data you have on your computer right now. All your documents, photos, projects, everything. How confident are you in its backup? After this series, you'll have a whole new perspective on data protection and maybe even a newfound appreciation for those systems that keep our digital lives safe.
That's such a great point. We often take our data for granted, right, until something goes terribly wrong. But fear not. We're here to equip you with the knowledge and skills to take control of your data's destiny.
Exactly. So join us for our next deep dive as we unravel all the mysteries of backup theory. Until then, stay curious and keep those backups running.
See you in the next episode.
Welcome back, everyone. It seems like we've sparked a bit of curiosity about data protection.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
So let's build upon that foundation and dive deeper into Module 1 backup theory.
Yes, let's unpack this. So what exactly is backup theory? Because honestly, it sounds kind of dry and, well, theoretical.
It might sound that way at first, but trust me, you'd be surprised how practical it actually is. This module is really the groundwork for everything else we're going to be discussing. It's all about understanding those fundamental principles behind backup and recovery.
Right.
We're going to explore those different backup methodologies like full backups, incremental backups, and differential backups. You've probably heard those terms before, but maybe haven't fully grasped what they mean.
Yeah, I have to admit, those terms have always sort of swum around in my head without any real clarity.
Yeah, I think that's common.
So we're not just going to define them. We're going to break them down in a way that makes sense for, everyday users like me.
Exactly. We'll dive into the strengths and weaknesses of each approach and help you understand when you choose one over the other. Think of it like this. A whole backup is kind of like taking a snapshot of your entire computer at that moment in time.
Okay.
While an incremental backup only captures the changes that were made since the last backup. So which one's better? Well, it really depends on your needs and resources.
Okay, that makes sense. It's starting to click now. So it's about choosing the right tool for the job, right? But you also mentioned something about RTOs and RPOs. Those still sound a bit intimidating to me.
Don't worry, we're going to demystify those terms too. So RTO stands for Recovery Time Objective. That's basically how quickly you need to recover your data after you've had a loss.
Okay.
And RPO, or Recovery Point Objective, defines how much data loss you could actually tolerate. So let's say you're working on this super crucial project and your computer crashes.
Uh-oh.
Your RTO would determine how long you are willing to wait to get back up and running, while your RPO would determine how much work you're okay with losing.
Wow, that really puts it into perspective.
Yeah.
I never realized those acronyms actually had such practical implications. So it's not just about backing up, it's about understanding how those backups fit into your specific needs and, like, risk tolerance.
Exactly.
So what comes after we've mastered this theoretical foundation? What's next?
Next, we move on to Module 2, where we dive into the world of information storage concepts. This is where things get a bit more tangible, I'd say.
Oh, bring on the hardware. I'm ready to explore the nuts and bolts of where our data actually lives.
You got it. We'll start by exploring something called RAID. It stands for Redundant Array of Independent Disks.
Okay.
Now, it sounds complicated, I know, but it's a really clever way to protect your data, even if one of your hard drives decides to fail on you.
Which they do.
Oh, they absolutely do. So think of RAID as having a backup built right into your storage system.
Oh, that's reassuring, especially in a world where hard drives, like we said, can and do fail. But storage isn't just about hard drives anymore, is it?
Absolutely not. We're also going to compare and contrast those different storage media types, like those speedy solid-state drives, SSDs that everyone loves. There's good old-fashioned hard disk drives, HDDs, and even cloud storage. We'll break down all their characteristics, their speed, their capacity, their cost-effectiveness, and help you understand which option might be best for your specific needs.
So it's about weighing the pros and cons of each storage type. That makes sense. But what about those, What were they called? The snapshots you mentioned earlier. How do those fit into the picture?
Ah, snapshots. Yeah, they are a fantastic tool for data protection. We'll be demystifying how they work and why they're so valuable. So imagine being able to just take a snapshot of your entire computer system at a specific point in time.
Wow.
And then, if something goes wrong, you can just easily revert right back to it. That's the power of snapshots.
Okay, I'm definitely seeing the value in that. It's like having a time machine for your data. So we've explored the theory and we've looked at the storage side of things. Where do we go from there?
That brings us to Module 3, where we shift our focus to the source of the data, the backup client. Remember, this could be your personal computer, a server, any device that generates the data you need to protect.
Ah, so we're finally getting to the heart of the matter. My laptop, my phone, all the devices that hold my digital life. What exactly happens on the client side when it comes to backups?
It's more involved than you might think. We're going to dive into how data is selected and prepared for backup. It's not just a simple matter of copying everything. There are actually decisions to be made about what to back up, how often to back it up, and how to organize it all for efficient storage and retrieval.
So it's about making smart choices about what's truly essential and how to, manage those backups effectively.
You got it.
I never realized there was so much strategy involved in the client side of things.
There is. And to complete the picture, Module 4 takes us to the other side of the equation, storage node components.
Okay, so if Module 3 is about where the data comes from, then Module 4 is about its final destination, where those backups actually live.
Exactly. We'll take a look at the components that make up a typical storage node and explore some really cool techniques that actually enhance those backup and recovery operations. For example, data deduplication. It helps save space by getting rid of those duplicate data blocks,
Okay.
which not only makes your backup smaller, but also makes them a lot faster.
Data deduplication, it really is like magic.
It kind of is.
So we're not just dumping data onto a storage device, we're actually optimizing it for efficiency and speed. What other, tricks do you have up your sleeve?
We'll also cover things like compression, which basically shrinks the data down to save even more space, and encryption to safeguard your data from unauthorized access. Think of it as adding those extra layers of security and efficiency to the entire backup process.
This is starting to sound like a high-tech spy thriller. So we've covered theory, storage, the client, and the storage node. Where does our little data protection adventure take us next?
It takes us to the final module in our series, Module 5, Backup and Recovery Planning. This is where we'll take everything we've learned and put it into practice.
Okay, this sounds like the graduation ceremony,
Hmm.
where we get to show off our newfound data protection expertise. So what does this planning process actually entail?
It's all about taking a holistic view of your data protection needs. We're going to be looking at things like business requirements, what kind of data you're dealing with, security considerations, budgetary constraints, even legal and regulatory requirements. It's about creating a strategy that's tailored to your unique situation.
Wow, so it's not a one-size-fits-all approach?
Yeah,
There are a lot of factors to consider. This sounds like it could get pretty complex.
it can be. But don't worry, we'll guide you through it step by step. And to help solidify everything, we'll have a hands-on exercise where you can actually apply your knowledge to a real-world scenario. It's your chance to put those new skills to the test.
Oh, that's fantastic. I love that we're not just learning theory. We're actually getting some hands-on experience. But wait, there's more, right? You mentioned something about exploring Dell EMC's data protection solutions portfolio.
You're right. We really want to bridge that gap between theory and practice. So we're going to give you a glimpse into those actual tools and technologies that professionals use every single day to build those robust backup and recovery strategies.
So we're going to be learning about real-world solutions, not just abstract concepts. That's so exciting. It's like getting a sneak peek behind the scenes of the data protection industry.
Exactly. And to round out the series, we have that bonus module dedicated to Dell MC Avamar, a specific solution that leverages many of the concepts that we've been discussing.
Oh, right. That sounds like a great way to see how everything we've learned can be applied in a, real-world product. Now, before we wrap up this overview and move on to our deep dive into backup theory in the next episode, I want to remind everyone about our Telegram and WhatsApp groups. Can you refresh our memory on those?
Absolutely. Remember, throughout this entire course, you can connect with us and all the other learners in our dedicated Telegram group. That's at Ask Kuzma NG, Dell MC VMware, and our WhatsApp group, specifically for data protection solutions. These groups are a fantastic resource for asking questions, sharing your insights, getting feedback on homework assignments, and just kind of learning from each other's experiences.
So it's like having a built-in study group for data protection. I love it. So before we officially embark on our deep dive into Module 1 in the next episode, I want to leave everyone with one final thought.
Ready for it.
Think about all the data that you rely on every single day. Those precious photos, important documents, creative projects, everything that makes up your digital world. How confident are you in your current backup strategy? After this series, you'll have a whole new perspective on data protection, and hopefully a newfound sense of security, knowing that you have the knowledge and the skills to keep your data safe.
That's a really powerful point. We often take our data for granted, don't we, until it's gone. This whole series is about empowering you to take control of your data's destiny and protect what matters most.
Exactly. So join us for our next episode as we unravel the complexities of backup theory and embark on this data protection journey together. Until then, stay curious and keep those backups running.
See you in the next episode.
Okay, so we've covered a lot of ground here, from like the theoretical foundations of backup, to the nuts and bolts of storage systems, and even like a sneak peek into some real-world solutions like those from Dell EMC.
Yeah, a lot to take in, but we've really designed this whole series to be digestible and engaging, of course.
Speaking of engaging, you mentioned homework and group activities earlier.
Right, yeah. So think of the homework as like a way to solidify your understanding of each of the modules.
So it's not just about like listening passively. We're actually going to be applying what we've learned.
Exactly. So we'll be providing like questions and scenarios, really challenge you to think critically and put those concepts we've been talking about into practice.
I love that. And the best part is you can get feedback from us, your instructors, as well as all your fellow learners in those Telegram and WhatsApp groups.
Exactly. It's such a great way to collaborate, share ideas, and, learn from each other's experiences.
It's like having a built-in support system for your whole data protection journey.
It really is. And speaking of journeys, are you ready to embark on this deep dive into the world of backup and recovery?
I know I am, and I have a feeling our listeners are just as excited as we are.
Awesome. And remember, this is just the introduction.
Think of it as like the course syllabus.
Exactly. Each module will be a full episode where we'll delve deeper into each topic with quizzes, exercises, and maybe even some guest experts, to keep things interesting.
Ooh, I love that.
It's going to be an incredible learning experience.
I'm really excited about this.
We can't wait to share it all with you.
So before we wrap up and officially kick off Module 1 in our very next episode, I want to leave everyone with a final thought. Think about all the data you rely on every single day. Your photos, documents, projects, financial information, everything. Everything that makes up your digital world.
It's a lot.
It is.
Yeah.
Now ask yourself, how confident are you in your current backup strategy?
Yeah, really think about that.
Because after this series, you'll have the knowledge and the tools to protect your data with confidence. You'll understand the different backup methods, the intricacies of storage systems, and how to create that comprehensive backup and recovery plan. You'll even be familiar with real-world solutions and be able to hold your own in a conversation about data protection. You'll be the expert at parties.
Exactly. We're so excited to guide you on this journey.
So join us for our next episode as we unravel the mysteries of backup theory. Until then, stay curious and keep those backups running.
See you in the next deep dive.